property management. I dedicate this to my old landlord. Still waiting for my bond back, Merv. Okay, look, the cockroaches weren't a big deal. Growing up in a modern-built, perfectly sealed home had left me skittish around insects and spiders, but living in a series of dodgy rental properties had beaten the princess out of me. This place wasn't perfect. It was more like a big treehouse. Living in a Queenslander meant accepting that the space would be shared with bugs, possums and snakes. Six-legged visitors crept in through our house, through the cracks and gaps, and made themselves comfortable in every room. That was okay. There was no option other than to tolerate their existence. Still, I always looked away when opening the cutlery drawer. Tiny, dirty feet scampering over knives and forks could be ignored. The ghost, however, could not. We knew the house was haunted by the second night. Usually the bird woke us every morning at 7:30, chirping and chattering to himself until he was set free from the cage and given attention. But that morning was different. We all bolted upright at 3 a.m. with our hearts pounding. The sound of a chainsaw being revved filled the living room and the bedroom doors flew open. Somehow, the bird had gotten out of his cage, opened the door to the sunroom, and positioned his body in the center of the living room. Flat on his back with his claws up in the air, the bird's beady eyes were rolled back and his beak was open. The chainsaw noises were coming from his tiny throat. He's possessed! We agreed on that pretty quickly. Agreeing on the next step was more difficult. Kill it! Fuck no! I'm not going back to bed with this thing in the house. Who knows what he's capable of? Capable of? What's he gonna do? He's tiny. He's a demon. I don't think he's a demon. I think he's just possessed by one. Lovely. Finally, we agreed to cover him with a mixing bowl and a copy of Infinite Jest on top to prevent escape. I barricaded my bedroom door with a bookcase and counted down till daybreak. First thing that morning, I called the landlord, and his assistant picked up after 3 rings. She told me to email instead. I rewrote the email several times, testing out the different synonyms for demon. Finally, I gave up and titled the email Emergency. In a matter of minutes, my phone rang. It was the landlord. I'm coming over immediately. The moment he arrived, I realized it wasn't going to be an easy conversation. I ushered him into the living room and handed him a cup of tea. As he sat down on the couch, the cat wandered into the room, eyed off the new warm body and jumped into his lap. I hesitated for a moment and considered what I was about to say. So, the previous tenants, did they ever say anything strange to you? He sipped his tea and considered my question. Once, they sent me a lengthy email about an issue with the power company regarding an inflated electricity bill. And that was strange because, well, firstly, their issues with the power company have nothing to do with me. He paused and took another sip of his tea. Secondly, because they were convinced that the power company was being unethical and, I quote, ripping them off. He chuckled. I mean, that's completely ridiculous. The electricity company would never rip someone off. I opened my mouth and quickly closed it. I needed to pick my battles. Right, nothing else. Not that I can recall. He gulped down the rest of his tea and held the empty cup out to me. Would you mind making me another one? The wife doesn't let me have tea at home anymore. I walked into the kitchen and flicked on the kettle. The water came to boil almost instantly. I carried the fresh tea back into the living room. Why doesn't your wife let you? My words trailed off as I walked towards him. The landlord was still sitting on the couch with the cat in his lap. But as like the birds had done earlier, his eyes had rolled back into his skull. I paused for a moment, unable to look away. The milky part of the eye appeared to be dripping down his cheek in a thick custard consistency. Drink tea? His tongue shot out of his mouth and split apart like open scissors. The top half of the tongue snaked upwards and began to lick the fluid. She thinks it makes me too peppy. As he finished his sentence, his head began to rotate counterclockwise, the bones in his neck snapping and grinding. As his head completed the rotation, he held out his hand for the mug. Unable to speak, I handed him the mug and watched as he raised it to his lips. His sipping quickly spiraled into a desperate gulping, steam still rising from the boiling water. When he looked up and smiled, I noticed the drops of blood trickling down from his ear. The cat also noticed the dripping and uncarved from his position, stretched his body upwards and began lapping at the blood. Bad cat, stop! The furry head creaked around 180 degrees, blood staining his white fur. His eyes locked with mine for a moment before rolling back. The sound of a chainsaw revving escaped from his throat, the volume ascending to an almost overwhelming level. The landlord's face turned white. He pushed the cat off his body and rose to his feet. They may have mentioned something else. Yes? They said the house was haunted.